So this is what we need to do the plastering of the front doorway. Pretty easy job. In fact, if you wonder whether you can do it, I'd recommend you try it. Paying for tradesmen to come in, they'll do a professional job most likely, but it costs a lot of money. So if you can learn to do these individual tradie jobs yourself, you'll save a tremendous amount of money. I've just learnt by watching other tradesmen over the years. I've also just got in there and tried it myself, and I've learned. So I'm wanting to pass on these skills to you so you can do it yourself, feel good about what you're doing, and saving a whole heap of money, which you can put that into improving your own home. So here goes. So plastering the front wall around the doorway. Need some trowels, plastering trowels. I've got one here that's around about 240mm wide. I like the plastic because it has a little bit of flexibility in it, which helps when you're pressing it on the wall. I've got another one here that's about 100mm wide. It's also a plastic spatula. So they're the two that I'm going to use for the wall. I have here, you don't need this, it just makes it a little bit easier. It's called a hod. It's got a handle underneath and a flat metal tray at the top with no edges on it, and so you're able to get the plaster out of the bucket, put it on here, and you've got it there to work off at wherever you're working. But you don't need one of these, they're just really handy to have. And I reckon if you're going to do it yourself, why not, value yourself in getting the proper tools. It's difficult enough to learn when you start. You don't need not having the right tools to make it even harder. So I'm all for getting the right equipment and learning to do it yourself. So this is the hard plaster. I'm going to get this wall ready to paint. To do that, I need to scrape off the hard plaster first and then put some soft plaster over the top, sand that off, and then undercoat prime the wall. Just running a little spatula over the edges, any little bumps, just scrapes them off. If you run your hand over it, you can feel where it's uneven. That should do that. Should be just about done. Now to mix up some soft plaster and spread that on. And you'll see in here
is the plastic film. You don't want to throw that away. Once you've taken out what plastic you want, the amount of plastic you want, just fold that plastic film back over the surface. It stops it from drying out. It's really important. Even though you put the lid on, there's still air in there that can dry out. Yeah, so we'll fold that back over. A little bit damp, which is really good. Put the lid back on. Nice toothpaste consistency. You only want to put on just as enough. The more you put on, the more you've got to sand off. Move on, and then smooth it off as smoothly as you can. Don't have to worry about these screws here because that'll be covered by the architrave. Now I'm going to switch to the wider trowels, wider spatula, because I'm going to come down the side of the door. And I've got more room to move, and it's wider, put more on with less edges. So you want to make sure you have enough on your trowel, not too much, but not too little. And cover the whole edge of the trowel. So again, soft plaster all along the edge of the blade. Put it firmly into the corners. Make sure it covers, and then smooth off. You need to put a bit more on. Do that. You can get right into the corner. press it firmly into the corner. I don't have to plaster this wall because this is VJ board, so there's no plaster going on there. I just have to plaster up to the corner. The important thing is to make sure you get your plaster into the corner so it's touching that surface. Otherwise you'll be left with a little line down there. And when you spread it off, I'll just cover this over again. When you smooth it off, the trowel comes around. The trowel comes around, has a curve in. Use that curve in just to leave a little bit of a curve of plaster in the corner. That way when you sand it, you've got some plaster to sand off and it'll finish well. So to get that curve in the corner, keep your trowel at least around 90 degrees to the wall. That's all done, all finished. Nice and easy. Once it's dry, one sand, and I'll be able to paint it.
So now that the soft plaster has dried, I can give it a sand. So what I've got here is a plasterer's sanding trowel, and it's got a mesh on here that allows you to sand the wall, and the dust goes through the mesh and doesn't clog up. Because if it starts to clog, then that might be that you haven't allowed enough time for the plaster to harden and dry. If you don't do it until it's completely dry, otherwise it'll clog your sanding pad. And these, you can turn them around, they're abrasive on the other side as well. So one thing to remember too is when you're sanding your plaster, don't do a lot of up and down movements, because it can tend to leave grooves in the plaster, and you want to leave a nice smooth finished paint over. So usually a circular pattern. In the corner you'll have to do a little bit of up and down, but just you'll watch my movements and see how best to do it. And the areas you can't fit with this, I've got a little bit of sandpaper in the back pocket. Okay, here we go. So you'll see after I've sanded it a little while, I'm sliding my hand over it, because you can feel, your sense of feeling, touch, is more sensitive than what your eyes can see. You can pick up discrepancies in the surface
better by feeling it than seeing it. So I can feel a little bit needs sanding here. This is pretty good, but needs a little bit more. That's looking good. So I'll do up in the corner here. Just feel it. Feeling pretty good. Just a little bit more just here. Again, a bit of a feel. Keep that circular motion. That's feeling pretty good. Just before I go any further with that, there's a little bits in the corner I'm going to get with this bit of sandpaper. Being careful not to press too far on that wall because you'll put a groove in it. I'm just removing the little bits that are on this wall. So I'm using my fingers as a guide so that the sandpaper doesn't go right onto the other wall. It just keeps it sanding on this wall and not that one. Just to remove the excess plaster that got on the timber wall. Okay, so that's enough of that. We'll go back to the sanding trail. So don't go up and down like this, just a circular motion. That's feeling pretty good. I better do this one back through here, I haven't done this yet. It's okay around here, just needs a bit more there. A little bit of pressure on this end. You can see that hard line is gone, nice and feathered off now. Okay. Looking good, feeling good. A little bit more down the side of the door, and then I'll be able to do the rest from the ground. I'm just standing on a ladder at the moment. Nice and smooth. Now across to the other side. Get my little bit of sandpaper. A little bit there, feels a little bit rough. Just right in the corner still feels a bit rough. Still with the circular motions. It's feeling a lot better. Okay, so I'm going to do down the side down here. I can put the ladder out of the way. a bit down further. So nearly done. Feeling nice and smooth. A little bit more just here. Okay, I think we're done. Give it a final check over. A little bit there maybe. Feeling good. Yeah, happy with that. So now all I need to do is give it a vacuum the floor. Very, very fine dust, plaster. So I need to vacuum it. Maybe give this a damp, a cloth just slightly damp, and wipe it down, and then I'll paint it.
So you can see how fine the dust is. And that all needs vacuuming up, and then we'll be ready to paint it. Hold the drop sheet into itself so the dust doesn't come out.